Yo, it's JP. I'm going to talk today about workplace grievances versus violations of one's rights. And in that same direction, I'm going to talk about the difference between a life question and a legal question. And I think this is very important for a lot of people to hear who are going through various workplace difficulties and situations. First of all, as a starting point, I just want to say two things. One, I dealt with my fair share of racism growing up, mixed race, brown skin in a working class town in Pennsylvania. I dealt with that starting from when I was 7 all the way up until, my God, within the last 10 years, I was walking down the street in Gettysburg, which is not far from my hometown, with my brother. And I think my brother, I don't know if he still had cornrows at the time or if he had already cut off his hair, given the genetics of baldness. But we were walking down the street together, and some guy in a big pick-em-up truck on big wheels yelled out his window, "Niggers!" Right? And I just looked at my brother, and we were just like, the fuck, man? You know? All this time, right? And people still doing that kind of shit. But the reality of, I think, the world and humanity, call me naive, call me an optimist, but I'm not a starry-eyed dreamer optimist. I'm more of a dogged, pragmatic optimist. But I really do believe that the arc of history leads towards humanity, towards the good, towards our better angels. And so I think a lot of people who think that way and feel that way and who have taught those lessons to their children, I think a lot of those folks are on their way out of the world. And I think the next generation will be better on that particular front. But so I've dealt with my fair share of bigotry, of hatred, of racism. And then in terms of jobs, I mean, my God, what shitty job have I not had? Okay? Like, what hard, stressful, ugly, toxic work environment have I not had? I mean, I can name lots of them. I used to work when I was in college. There was one winter where I worked the night shift in a factory in my hometown on an assembly line, and they showed me how to do the job on the assembly line first, and then after I did that for a couple nights, I guess they needed somebody to do some other position, and they were like, "Hey, we need to show you how to do this." And I had never done it before, and so they were showing me how to do it. I was trying to pick it up and get the hang of it. It was really fast moving, and this one supervisor was like, "You speak English, you fucking spick," So I mean, look, I've dealt with this shit. I have dealt with this kind of shit firsthand in my life, okay? And I know that there are lots of folks out there who are in jobs and work situations where that was just, for me, that was during winter break, and I went back to school and I was done with that shit and I never had to go back there again, okay? I know lots of people who are in situations where they've been at a job for years, right? We get all sorts of inquiries, people who are like, I've been at this job for 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 12 years. And people have all these, stories they tell about how terrible it is. Well, I hate to be so real with you, okay? A lot of people in today's society, they will just placate you and tell you what you want to hear, okay? Because they don't want you to throw a temper tantrum and they don't want to deal with that kind of conflict. And so they'll just tell you whatever you want to hear. That's not real kindness. That's a cop-out, okay? Actual kindness as a human being to another human being is telling other people the truth of the situation and of their circumstances. And so, a lot of folks reach out. We get hundreds of inquiries every week, and we see these things time and time again where people are like, I've been in this environment for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and it's so terrible, and this is happening every day, and I'm depressed, and I'm on medication, I'm having a nervous breakdown because of my work. And it's like, look, okay, that is not the way. That is not the way, okay? That is not the way. If you are in a situation where you work in that sort of environment and you just can't tolerate it, and you're having a nervous breakdown and you can't take it anymore, and you're just hanging on by a thread, then you have to make some changes. Okay? And I've heard lots of people, right? Lots of people, they say, oh, I couldn't leave. I couldn't find another job. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. All right? You look back in history, okay? You look back in history. You look at, American history and slavery and, what black folks went through. And some of us, our ancestors went through, who were enslaved. Even some of those people were like, I got a fucking choice. I'm going to run away. Okay? Read your history books, people. Read your history books. Read the primary source slave narratives. You want to have your mind blown? Read the primary source slave narratives written by runaway slaves who successfully made it to the North or to Canada. I don't know if these are still available online, but there was one or two universities that put all of these things online. They were actually available. You could read the text of them online. They had a whole project where they shared, primary source materials and literature from the Civil War era. And you read some of those slave narratives and you just have to think to yourself, right? Like there are some of these folks who ran away once, ran away twice, ran away 3 times, and got caught by dogs, beaten within an inch of their lives, right? Mutilated, and they kept on going. Robert Hayden, Runagate, okay? You keep on going and never stop going and keep on going. Okay, so to a lot of these people who are sitting there and they're in their misery and they're talking about they've been at this position for years and it's so terrible and they're hanging on by a thread and they're in depression and they're on medication and they're having nervous breakdowns. If you cannot survive, if you cannot make it and be okay and be healthy and normal and functioning in a certain job or role or position or company or corporate structure, then it is incumbent upon you to make a decision, to make a choice. And that is not a legal choice. That is a life choice. That is a personal choice. That is a choice about your happiness, your health, your well-being. And yet, so many people reach out and they say things like, I don't know if I should quit because if I quit, it might weaken my case. Well, that case is not going to save your life. A case is not going to save your life. A case is not the cure-all. So many people show up and they think that they're going to go through litigation and they're going to get a bucket full of money. They're going to get millions of dollars, or at the very least several $100,000. They're going to get a bucket full of money. They're going to get a trial by a jury. A jury is going to say that they are right. The other side is wicked. Everybody's going to stand up and cheer. It's going to be like a movie. It's going to be like a scene from A Few Good Men. So many people have built up in their heads this idea. But that's not how it is. That's not how it is. This is America. This is the legal system in America. The legal system in America was created by rich and powerful people for rich and powerful people. The legal system in America was not created to provide meaningful access to justice to poor and working people and middle-class people. It was not created to give poor and working class and middle-class Americans, regular folks, the 97 or 98% of the populace, it was not created or intended to give those people a meaningful opportunity to obtain justice. They call it a justice system, but that is just language doing work. That is indoctrination of sheep. People show up and say, but it's a justice system. It is not a justice system. It is a legal system. Justice has nothing to do with it. Justice has nothing to do with it. Justice is purely aspirational. Justice is a goal that some of us pursue. But otherwise, it's a word the system throws around to indoctrinate people into believing that the system is just and has justice as a goal or an aim or an end. And that is not the desired outcome. I can tell you hundreds of specific concrete examples of the machinations, the shenanigans, the dysfunction, and in some instances, the outright naked corruption of the American legal system. And I am not making this up. And you know it. You all know it. And that's why what's so funny is there's so many big companies that constantly follow what I say, and they're so terrified, and they think I'm out to get them in particular. Like, my God, there are hundreds of you. There are thousands of you. I have hundreds of cases. I have cases falling out of my pocket, right? Spilling out of my briefcase. I don't have it out to get any particular big bad actor. There are so many of you. It's in the water. It's become normalized, right? The normalization of corruption in America. I've said it before many times. Every major silo in the American society and economy has devolved into a scam. Everything is a scam. Prison industrial complex, scam. Healthcare system, scam. Health insurance, scam. Cancel your gym membership, scam. Comcast, scam. Everything is a scam. Everything is a scam, propped up and backed up by confidentiality, arbitration, jury trial waivers, and legal system jujitsu. So the law and litigation, that is not the panacea that so many of you folks think it is. It is the one case out of every 4, 5, or 600 where lightning strikes and you get a truly amazing, incredible, redeeming outcome. And there is really some huge redemption that comes via the legal process, okay? But that's like lightning striking. That's like lightning striking. In the ordinary course of these things, maybe you'll get a little bit of money. Maybe you'll get a modest amount of money, right? Like in most cases, if it's a good outcome, right? Hard fought, we go a long way and we get what? A modest amount of money, right? And in many instances, it is enough to change somebody's life for the better. I've gotten plenty of calls over the years from people where, we wire them their money, or they pick up a check, or, something like that, but they get their money and maybe it's, 50 grand or 80 grand or 100 grand or 200 grand or 400 grand or whatever it is. Okay. But they get their money. And there are some instances where it is truly a meaningful and even life-changing sum of money. And they call me and they say, thank you so much. I've had people call and say, I was homeless. I was living out of a motel and now I'm going to be able to have a house, and that's beautiful. And I feel so good when we get those outcomes and we help people and we change people's lives for the better. But I'm not going to tell you it's all sunshine and fairy tales and rainbows, because it's not, You have to fight really hard and go through a lot of bullshit and shenanigans to get any meaningful outcome, let alone something like that, let alone 400 or 500 or 600 or 700, $800,000, got $1 million, right? You can't imagine the type of work, the type of effort you have to put in. And not you, us, me, my law firm, my colleagues, the type of costs and expenses we have to lay out and front, the man hours we have to put in. You don't understand what this takes. It is not sunshine and rainbows and fairy tales, people. And that's when you get something meaningful, right? When you get a good, solid recovery. It takes a long time to get there, okay? It takes a long time to get there. And many folks don't have cases that are going to get them that, okay? And so the idea of you're sitting, right, at home and you're miserable because of your job and your work and you're depressed and you're on medication and you're at the end of your rope and you're having a nervous breakdown, and you dread going into work every day because of, harassment or discrimination or retaliation or people being mean or what have you. Like this notion of, I'm going to stay here and keep doing this and set it up so they fire me because it'll make my case stronger. I have heard this now probably at least 100 times. So many people call our office and they're in that situation, and that's what they say. They say that they're going to stay and try and set up a stronger case. That is just nonsense. That is nonsense. Your first priority has to be your health and well-being, okay? And I know people say, well, I can't leave. I can't possibly get another job, right? Like, I'm sorry, I don't abide that. I don't abide that. There are many jobs out there. There are many jobs out there And not only that, but it's 2025. They have the internet on computers. There's technology, and you can start your own damn business. You can be your own damn boss, right? Look, I get it. I get it. Some people are more comfortable working in a bigger company or a certain environment, and some people are like, why I couldn't start my own business. You know how many people I know who have started their own business? You know how many people I've met who have successful businesses who basically have very modest intellects, to put it lightly. I'll never forget, I met one cat smoking a cigar who had a successful business. And it was so funny because he was so real and self-deprecating. And he was like, man, I just stumbled into this. I'm not even smart. He had a multi-million-dollar business, He's like, look, this opportunity came up and somebody showed me the ropes and I learned it. And then I was able to go out and do it. And I found a company to buy and then I got financing for it. And, boom, boom, boom. I made a lot of money. And then I'm not even smart. He's like, all the people who work in the higher levels of my business are way smarter than me. I just had the balls to go try and do it, So the notion that you can't find another job in today's economy or that you can't start your own business or find some other way, right? If your current job and your current existence because of that job is so toxic and it is breaking you and it is in fact killing you and destroying your mental and physical health, well, if it has reached that point, then you need to make the reasonable decision. And the reasonable decision is not, I'm going to stay here and try and set up a legal claim or make my case stronger. And lawyers who tell you, like, stay there until they fire you, I don't get down with that. I don't get down with that. So let's put that to the side, okay? All of that is true, but table that. Now let's come to the issue of grievances versus violations of one's legal rights. There is a difference. There is a fundamental, unequivocal difference between a situation where you have a grievance and a situation where your rights have been violated. And I've said this before, but people keep doing it, and I need folks to start to understand what this means and really have this sink in. People throw around words all the time. They say things like, I feel like I'm being targeted. I'm being bullied. My voice is not being heard. Right? Those are not legal terms of art. There is no legal claim for targeting. People say, I want to pursue a claim for targeting. There is no claim for targeting. There is no claim for your voice not being heard. There is no legal right against a boss or a supervisor being a jerk or a meanie, okay? And you have to understand that not all instances of mean behavior, unfair behavior, unkind behavior, lacks of humanity, those things are not all actionable. What is actionable in this general realm of law, okay? What is actionable in the types of cases we litigate, and what are the types of cases, right? Well, we do a lot of discrimination cases, and it's like race discrimination, age discrimination, pregnancy discrimination, sex discrimination, disability discrimination, okay? Let's just take that bucket right there, We have lots of cases, where people are like, it's time for you to retire or get this slow old motherfucker off my team. We need some fresh young blood in here. You're dinosaurs, right? Company fires the two or three oldest people on a certain sales team. Like that's age discrimination, okay? That implicates a protected right. Same thing with racism, right? We have lots of what I call overseer cases. They mostly come out of the construction industry in Florida and other parts of the South, where it's like the racist overseer. Some of them are wild, but they involve egregious, hateful, vicious racism, like old South style Confederacy, Civil War racism. And people being harassed or transferred or fired or otherwise retaliated against in a meaningful way, okay? But like these are discrimination cases, disability cases, right? We have plenty of disability cases where people either, had a disability and weren't granted an accommodation, or were fired and told, basically we need somebody who's not disabled. But those are right. These are real cases. These are real cases. Do you see how these are fundamentally different than cases where people show up and they're basically like, my boss never listened to my feedback or what I had to say, or never took my feelings or my thoughts into account. I was never part of the in crowd. I feel like I was targeted. My voice wasn't heard. I was excluded. Like seriously, okay? Like, they didn't have the cupcakes you wanted in the break, or they did have the cupcakes you liked in the break room and it was red velvet, and they ate all the cupcakes and then they invited you in after all the red velvet cupcakes were gone and it hurt your feelings. Like, that is, you have to be real people. Like, complaints and grievances that go that direction, those are not actionable. Those have nothing to do with violations of your legal rights. In this space, your legal rights must have something to do with some sort of discrimination, retaliation, sexual harassment, sexual assault, unpaid overtime, retaliation for reporting you weren't paid overtime, that sort of thing, right? This whole sort of apparatus, okay? But the generic grievance of, I was treated in a way that wasn't fair, or people were mean to me, or I was targeted or bullied, like, no. You have to have something more substantive than that. And you have to have a violation of an actual legal right to pursue a claim. And there is no right against generally mean or jerkish behavior. And even then, even if you do have a case involving a violation of your right or violations of your rights, even then, you have to be real about the situation, and you have to make a life decision. This whole notion, again, of people staying in a position because either A, they're trying to set up a stronger employment case, and dumb people or other lawyers or whoever have told them, no, stay and wait till they fire you, or force their hand and make them fire you. Like, people doing this for months and even years and losing their minds over it, okay? That's just not the way to go. That is not the done thing. And further, people who say, oh, I can't find another job. Well, you know what? If it's a choice between your mental health, which then implicates your physical health, your overall well-being, your stability, if it's a choice between that and finding another job, even if it's going to be hard and you're going to have to, scrape by for a little while, you have to make what is the reasonable, healthy choice to protect yourself, protect your well-being, and make sure that you're okay. And that's not a legal question, my friends. That's not a legal question. That's a life question. And even if you do have a case and you do have a claim, okay, please understand, litigation is no panacea. In the best case scenario, it will get you some money. It will not get you a resolution. It will not get you redemption. In all likelihood, it will not undo whatever trauma or whatever hardships you've been through. It won't make it all right. It won't make it all better, and it won't make it all go away. At most, it will get you a bit of money. So bear that in mind, and proceed accordingly. Happy Thursday.